us. So I'm Benjamin, Impact Developer at Base Impact.
And I'm Florian, I'm Chief of Operation and Impact at Base Impact, and we're both based in Paris at the moment.
So we did a little presentation for today that I'll share with you. As you might know, I will not be able to see you, so if ever you can't hear me or there is a bug, please say something so that we can make sure that you don't miss anything. And also, feel free to write down any question you might have in the chat that we will address, of course, at the end of this presentation. So the agenda for today, we'll talk a bit about Base Impact, presenting our NGO. Then we'll go on how it started, how we started tackling the unemployment challenge. Then how we started building Bob. We'll have also a word on actually what is Bob, with a live demo of our technology in motion, and then a quick word on going forward with Bob. So Base Impact, who we are. So we are a non-profit, a tech non-profit founded in 2014, whose mission is to leverage new technologies to solve social issues as well as to empower people at scale. So we've been working in different fields such as health, justice, and finance. And our most important project today is in the field of unemployment, where we've been working on Bob for the last 5 to 6 years. We have a strong experience working with governments, public bodies, and employment service provider. We've been working with the French National Employment Service, Pôle emploi, as well as the one from Brussels. And also we are supported by our partners such as Google.org, Nesta, or the ERSA. So how it all started. So when we started digging into the question of unemployment and what we could bring to the table, what we saw is the data availability, the fact that there is a lot of data, and that we wanted to act upon it because we saw also that job seekers and people had a hard time to access all of those data. So the idea at the beginning was to leverage the labor market data and artificial intelligence to provide data-driven job search coaching at scale. So that was the idea. And then what we intended to do after was to challenge this idea with some research to see if that could make sense and if we wanted to go further with this. And so what we started to do is to dive and dig into academic and scientific research that has shown us that indeed job seekers are in need of coaching to find a job. And this for several different reasons. The first one being that they have a hard time understanding the labor market condition. It can be difficult for them to get a sense of what it means if the market is stressed, things like that. Second thing, one of the most important also, is the fact that they had a difficult time when they could access this information to make sense of them, to plan and execute job search and career planning activities. Some of them might spend way too much time or too much time on job boards and not have a defined project. And so they needed to make sense of this information. And also another insight that was really important and key to us is that not only do you need the information, but also it should make sense. And for this, it needs to be presented in a simple and personalized manner to achieve maximum impact. So we started and we continued doing those research, and we found out that indeed it was possible and it was a good idea to use data and technology to digitally coach job seekers. Of course, coaching is great, and there is really a high chance for people to go back to work more quickly. But the idea was to make it widely available to the people. And so this is what we intended to do with our digital coaching tool, Bob, which now Florian will present you a bit about the history and what is behind.
Thank you, Benjamin. So after having done this bit of academic research check, we went on to design what we could think would be a good way to actually build a digital career coach. And that would rely on 3 elements. First, being able to leverage inputs from labor market data and personal data from the users. analyze it through a diagnostic engine that would be able to render a personalized assessment of the job seeker situation, and leverage this diagnostic to match the job seekers with solutions, resources that will help them move forward in their job search and increase their employability and ultimately employment outcomes. We went on the field. We did a lot of user research in several countries, France, Belgium, in the UK, conducting 300 plus interviews with job coaches and job seekers. We also scouted a lot of all the data that's available in these countries, all the resources that are available on the ground to build a database of several hundreds back-to-work programs, services, charities. And we also tackled the challenge of adapting Bob to different labor market, different databases, different data availability levels, to be able to provide very localized and personalized recommendation. Doing this user research, we learned a lot of interesting things, of which I'd like to share a selection, because ultimately this is, we believe, really what allowed us to develop Bob as it is today, and which is very different from how we envisioned it at the beginning. First, we saw that data is definitely necessary, but it's not the holy grail if it's too abstract. You need to put a very heavy effort on building an engaging user experience, a very specific tone that's able to create some rapport with the user, and also, as Benjamin said, personalizing the data and contextualizing it based on the user profile. We also discovered, or at least it was confirmed, that job seekers are in very different psychological states when they come to a platform, a coaching platform like Bob, or even a coaching services. So you can't have a uniform user experience. You need to be able to tailor the journey, tailor the experience to the specific psychological state of the job seeker. And that's why we built Bob in a way that it asks users about their frustration, and it adapts the language. The AI is really leveraged to adapt the journey to where the job seeker come from. Other interesting insights, there's an interesting effect of the recruitment market on the cognitive psychology of job seeker. We saw, for example, that when you have an oversupply of CV libraries or easy to use job boards, that may lead to some form of rejection and low self-esteem for users if they don't manage to find a job despite this appearance of offers. And so we've made a lot of efforts in informing the users about hiring channels, telling them to be critical of job boards, and trying to show them that the job search does not restrict itself to just applying to an online offer. And lastly, and this is key for Bob, there's a very fine line to have between giving no choice in the coaching you provide, in the next steps you suggest, or too much choice. So basically, Bob really was designed to empower users by not prescribing specific next steps, but giving a key message about what's a user's main challenge, a selection of strategies, and at the same time, not just leaving the users there with a diagnostic of their situation and not helping them to act on it. So having some suggestions that allow to take a next step, to maximize the actionability of the advice given, and also make sure this advice is explainable and can be understood by the users to build the trust. Based on this, we developed the theory of change, which is that, well, as you all know, having a job search plan helps job seeker take action, but it's interesting to see that the mere fact of having a plan, irrespective of what's in there, is in itself a very strong driver. We saw that job seekers struggle to organize their search, and they may spend a lot of time on low-value actions. So what Bob aims to do is really to empower job seekers to overcome their challenges by first helping them create a data-driven action plan that they can own, and that's based on their job search priorities. And based on this action plan, provide an ongoing coaching to help them take action ultimately improve their chance of recovering a job. Based on this user research, we started to build the algorithm, the AI behind Bob, and we took a very much knowledge-based approach that leverages several levers. The first one, as we mentioned, was to really try to translate academic research insights into the algorithm. But more importantly, we built the AI not as a black box of rule and processes, but more as a clear collaborative rule engines that we built working with job coaches and trying to understand their expertise, understand how they would coach different type of profile, of users profile, and trying to extract their knowledge and build it in the algorithm. Once we've done that, we've also run a lot of data analysis on our beneficiary database, on other data set that we had access through our partner Pôle Emploi in France, so millions of job seeker profiles. And progressively, we built that algorithm, continuously updating it with real user profile, reviewing it with our internal evaluation tool. And once we had that, the last element was to, as I mentioned, build the engaging and trustable UX. So today, Bob, as you will see it, is really the results of 5 years of iterating on the voice of Bob. So to find a voice that's both empowering, that engages with the users, and that's built on evaluating user experience. So trying to find the right tone to be both encouraging but genuine at the same time, and really empowering. So going to what's Bob more specifically, right? And then we'll go to the demo. Bob really is a technology, is a digital coaching technology that can be used both to help job seekers or to support job coaches. For job seekers, it's a technology that powers a coaching program that helps job seekers navigate their job search, basically doing 3 things. First, informing the job seeker about their situation through a diagnostic to help them understand what are their priorities on the road to job recovery. Based on that, Bob shows the path to action, so delivers a personalized action plan to support them to overcome their priorities. And this is where we aggregate, hundreds of resources that are data-driven and tailored to job seeker situation. And 3, it motivates. It just not leaves. It doesn't leave the job seekers there. It motivates them through an ongoing coaching, pushing some motivational resources or even additional tools through email or text messages. For job coaches, for job coaches, it's a technology that can be used as what we call a support toolbox to support job coaches in their work. First, by giving them access to key information, so the same type of contextualized labor market data, also having access to the diagnostic, the assessment that Bob makes of a job seeker situation. Also allows them to monitor progress of the beneficiaries, the job seeker they coach, by checking if they have completed their action plan or if they're stuck, and to communicate with them through these automated coaching messages that we've built. So what we've seen from working with employment services providers are a few use cases that has proven impact on both the job seekers and also the job coaches. The first one is using Bob to provide a digital coaching program from day one, from the very first day a job seeker registered to an employment service, being able to provide some solutions, some action plan, which in France and Belgium, for example, is not the case. There's usually a 3 months delay between the first registration and the moment when you get your action plan. Also allows to save job coaches time by allowing them to have access to useful data, useful resources in the same in one place and in a way that's contextualized to the specific situation of the job seeker and the coach. Another interesting use case is to profile job seekers according to criteria like the autonomy, the distance to job recovery, to be able to provide tailored journey to job seekers and not have a one-size-fits-all approach. And other aspects which are really more related to the job seeker. So I mentioned the possibility to track program usage through the platform, what works, what doesn't work, what is being used by job seekers in terms of all the programs that are put at their disposal, and measure outcome. Interestingly enough, and though we didn't see that at the beginning with Bob has also been perceived as a way to harmonize coaching delivery by distributing the expertise. Not all job coaches have the same level of expertise, and embedding the expertise of the best job coaches in Bob and providing Bob to all the job coaches is a way to distribute that expertise. And I've mentioned the access to labor market data for job coaches. I will skip this, but maybe before we move to the demo, we can take a few questions at this stage, and then we can move to the actual demo. So going back to the I don't know if there are any questions. Otherwise, we are happy to go on with the demonstration.
Okay, so I'll be jumping in for the demo. So again, if you don't see anything, please wave your hand, say something. So here what you will see is Bob in motion in a job seeker for the job seeker platform that we've been designing. So it starts first with an onboarding questionnaire. Deliberately, we've made it quite short because we don't want to burden a job seeker with other administrative form to fill in. And the idea is to gather the necessary data so that Bob can run and then give the diagnostic and the action plan. So it starts by asking the name, and then the first question is to ask what is the biggest priority the job seeker thinks they have. And I will explain you later why we ask this question at the beginning. So, start the questionnaire. So the questionnaire will gather basic data, starting with profile data, then go on with what is the goal of the person, of the job seeker. Is it to find a new job, to find their first job, or to make a career change? And then what type of job they are looking for. We'll have questions about the expectation they have on the type of contract and how much they would like to be paid, about the experience in the given job, as well as questions about their actual job search. Have they started applying? Did they find any interesting job posting? And then some question about possible challenges that they might have already faced in finding a job. So all those questions previously and now will be taken into account by Bob to really personalize and tailor the diagnostic as well as the action plan. So for example, here, if I put this one, writing resume and cover letters, there is a high chance that Bob will suggest some resources to help me overcome this possible challenge. And then there will be a question about the coaching. So whether they would like to receive a coaching, whether it be per month or per week, which is totally customizable. And this is the end of the questionnaire. And Bob will start to work and to compute the diagnostic of the person. And if you see here, Bob is checking what are the steps where the job seeker might be blocked. So what you're looking at are the different steps on the road to job recovery, which are, like Florian said, a modelization of how the job coach, expert job coach, are working when they are facing a job seeker. And so here, the main priority that Bob has been able to compute is the application method.
For a specific job in this case, which is what, admin assistant in Rothbury, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so first of all, before anything, Bob will congratulate the job seeker. Because indeed, we know that in a job search, what we're looking for is a job, and this is the main prize. But we want to show to any job seekers that previous to that, they've been doing things that are important and that they should be proud, and they should keep be motivated by what they are doing. So this is really the first step, which is, again, like we say, a way also to build trust between Bob and the user. Then Bob will give out his diagnostic, which you can see here. And like I said, the first question we ask to the person is, what do you think is your priority? And the job seeker, in this case, thought it was the market, that it was too stressed. And so the aim for Bob now is to explain the diagnostic. Not only is it important, like I said in the beginning, to share some information, but they have to be understandable so that the job seeker can take ownership of their job search. And so here, Bob will leverage labor market data to explain why is it that the methods are the most important priority for this person with the given situation. Then, excuse me. Then Bob will give some concrete and quick example to the job seeker, so that not only does it give a quick diagnostic, but also some direct solutions, so that the person can see, okay, I have this priority to overcome, and there are some actual things that I can do. And then Bob will suggest to the job seeker to beat the challenge. And so here we are landing on the action plan, which you can see below the diagnostic. And so each strategies that you can see are linked with the methods. And when you enter a strategy, again, you will have something to explain to you what's happening, because we believe this is key. And so here, Bob explained what are the different objectives in these strategies that the person can pursue. And when they enter in the strategy, they will have access to a library of content, be it originally or personalized or localized. And so I will give you two examples. So here, this is an example of request a letter of recommendation with some concrete example on how to request and how to ask for it. And below, you have some more localized methods, which is find a job opportunity in an area with more hiring, which leverage actual labor market data to suggest some places where they might have more chance to find an occupation regarding the labor market. Also, this is the library content where any partner can add up if there are, for example, training programs or interesting things that they would like for Bob to showcase here. It's exactly the place. And again, we are always talking about it. It's the voice of Bob, which is to explain what's happening. So here, Bob, he will tell the person, this is why you should change your job search methods. Going back, the third thing that we've mentioned is the ongoing coaching that is accessible over the time of usage that I will show you here. And this is one example of our coaching email. And so just like all the methodology behind Bob of informing and putting into motion, we have applied this to our coaching. So if you look, we start by giving some information, but because we think it's not enough for the person to be empowered, we want to put them into motion, and we are including some different workshops. So here, for example, it's some question about what you could do to better up your CV. And we have other coaching email with some videos, something that are interactive. So if I go back here to summarize, Bob will offer to the job seeker three main things. The first one being a quick diagnostic of its situation, so that they know where they might be blocked and on what priority they might want to look at. Second, they will have access to this data-driven action plan to actually have the resources and the content to move on. And third, as we know that job search can be an overwhelming process, we have included this ongoing coaching to be there and to support them across their job search. And so today, I will show you this. We've been able to support more than 300,000 job seekers. And what we are trying to do, which is really important for us, is to have an impact on employment outcome. This is really key to us. And so we've built inside of Bob an automated impact measurement framework to track down impact metrics. And those are the three main metrics that we wanted to share with you. The first one being the satisfaction rate regarding the relevancy of the job search advice they receive, which is up to 88% of our users. 80% reported that Bob's advice was equally or more personalized compared to other forms of coaching, and 41% reported that Bob's coaching was a key factor in their job recovery. And so when we started in the UK 1.5 years ago, our main objective really was to duplicate this impact in the UK, which Florian will now talk a bit more about.
Yes, I will be quick on this, but indeed 1 year ago we were in France, we were in Belgium, and we thought, okay, we had this great relationship with the ERSA, and we wanted to see whether we could actually bring Bob to the UK, and we applied to the Nesta careertech challenge to really with the objective to actually build Bob in the UK. That lasted for a year. We worked with a local partner, ACH, who's working to support refugees into employment in different cities, and we went through the whole process of finding the data, finding the content, running a lot of user research to see whether Bob makes sense to British job seekers. And we spotted some difference with regard to the labor market information, with regard to the hiring channels that are different, to the training opportunities, the way they're structured, etc. Overall, that process confirmed a lot of similarities between the job search, the French job search market and the British one, and we were able to replicate Bob, and we submitted as a finalist to the careertech challenge by Nesta along 20 other organizations, and Bob was selected as the winner back in April. So we were quite happy about it. So now we have Bob in the UK. Going forward, there are several things that we'll continue doing. First, Bob, and that has been the case in France and Belgium, is a continuously evolving technology because we scout new labor market intelligence to enhance the data-driven recommendation that Bob makes. So, for example, Nesta just recently released the Career Causeways algorithm that we've been able to leverage and put into Bob to provide some career recommendations. We want to leverage external coaching resources to enrich the action plan that Bob provides to job seekers. And today was the launch day of askteth.org by ERSA, and so this is typically a great resources that we want to be able to direct our users to when they need it. Our goal as a non-profit is really to scale our impact. To do so, as Benjamin said, we partner with employment services providers, and here what we do is that we tailor Bob to the specific needs of their target beneficiaries, which might vary from an organization to another, to their processes and content. And also in partnership with the RSA, we are piloting very soon in the UK an upskilling coaching feature with the objective to be able to help early career individuals move up in their career by leveraging training opportunities. And so this is something that we will be piloting in the UK by the end of the year, and currently being piloted in France. This is the end of our presentation. So it has probably been a bit too long and with too much information, so apologies for this. But we have some time for questions now.
Hi, thanks Benjamin and Florian. There are questions in the chat, so you were able to see that and take those, and then otherwise we'll just ask people to raise a hand.
Oh, we'll take a look.
Okay, we see them, yes.
Okay.
So does Bob link with any other software like funding database? It does. I mean, the way Bob links with external resources, there's basically two ways. One is excuse me, we leverage external database in the diagnostics. So as I mentioned, each time there is a database that we can leverage through an API and that can help provide additional coaching, we do. So we obviously leverage LMI, but we can leverage skilling data, training database, possibly funding database. And the second way we can link to external resources is through the library of tools and resources that we have in the action plan. What kind of labor market data is made available to the users? So we leverage different type of LMI. We leverage posting offers. We leverage that data like the time that a posting offer stays unfulfilled, which gives us an insight on the stress level of the market. We leverage a number of candidates per job, and all this at the local level. And basically, we use this to compute a market score. Then we use other type of labor market information that are more looking at the future, like automation risk for a given job. This is based on a great work done by the ERSA. We leverage a database on how exposed a job is to COVID. At least we leveraged it, and now it's a bit less relevant, but yes. So we have this ability to leverage different LMI. Does the application show level of user activity interaction? Yes, indeed it does. And so this is typically, so we obviously monitor that as part of our, we want to see why users drop out if they don't complete the onboarding questionnaire, for example, or if they don't look at the strategies. For job coaches, we also monitor coaching email opening rate, so that a job coach can see whether a user is a job seeker is not really responding anymore to the type of automated coaching, and they can see there is a risk that job seeker might be facing a lot of difficulties, and they can react. Yes, so labor market data, we use different sources. So depending on the country, in some countries, France or Belgium, for example, we use open data, NMI. In the UK, the structure of the labor market information is different, so we leverage different data partners, one of them being MZ. So it's a mix of data partners, open data, and reconstructed data from academic research. So I mentioned the RSA's work, for example, on automation.
How can you ensure that seeing there is a very little hiring in job seekers' local area is not disempowering? Well, it's a really great question because we've been facing it and trying to answer it ourselves. And what we intend to do with Bob is that if a person is in this case, we believe it's better than, rather than sending, CV and not receiving any answer and not understanding why and starting to self-doubt and think the problem comes from them. We believe that Bob can give other option and say, your market is stressed, but don't worry, it doesn't mean that you will have a hard time to find a job. Maybe you could reconsider where you are looking for a job or what type of jobs you are looking. So really what we are trying to do is to give them a picture of the situation they are in, but tell them also there are some other options that you could pursue.
Yeah. And this is really a great question, because this is the most tricky, I'd say, use case that we have to face with users. When you're telling a user your market is stressed, there's 10 persons like you applying to the same job. It's really not somewhere where you want to leave the user and say, okay, no, good luck. Mm-hmm. So what we've seen here is that motivation is key to get a job. So if the users tell us, this is the job of my life, I love this job, I want this job, then we will assume that, okay, you'll be able to manage your way through competition because you have this motivation. If a users tell us, well, this is a job like another, and we saw this is a very stressed market, then to us, it's super important that the job seeker understand that, okay, it's going to be difficult, but we leverage labor market information to be able to, for example, to recommend close jobs that are hiring more. So jobs that will require similar skills. and that they can look at and say, okay, maybe instead of being looking for a job of an admin assistant, I will look for a job like an accounting assistant, and I will do that training because it will open much more opportunities. So,
and I have a great example with this use case, which illustrates also the fact that at the end of the day, job seekers are the one taking ownership. We had received a message from a user saying, you think I'm not motivated well enough to face a competitive market? Then I will show you the contrary. And I remember that 2 months later, he sent us email to tell us that he was pursuing this, that it was really hard because he was too young and he had like lots of barrier to employment, but that he was, continuing and trying to face the competition. So also, I think it's important to believe that at the end of the day, it should be the job seeker making a wise decision with all the cards in their hands.
On commercial and pricing models, so the way we work with employment services is that we, if needed, adapt the content of Bob to the specific needs of the organization. So I mentioned the needs of the target population, but it can be also adapting a bit the onboarding questionnaire on the content. And we work on a annual fee basis, which depends on the number of job seekers supported, so depending on the size of the organization. I'm happy to share further info on the details if relevant after the presentation. But that's the model. So annual fee for accessing the technology. Thanks, Graham. We make a lot of we deal a lot with employment, but for us, it's really what's been driving Bob from the beginning, trying to put what is Bob trying to put all the cards in the hands of the user. Bob in France is called Bob actually, and it's we don't really have a story for this, but we made up one. Basically, our founder is called Paul. And the name of the French unemployment agency is Pôle Emploi, so we ended up having it called Bob to differentiate it from Pôle Emploi, and it sticked a bit randomly, but we saw that having an avatar that is and that embodies someone worked a lot with users. But in different countries, we have changed the name. For example, in the US, we also have changed the face of Bob, but it's still a person, and it still have a name.
Could have been, yeah.
Could have been.
Okay, have we got any more questions for Benjamin and Florian? I think we've covered them all. Nobody wants to raise a hand and open up their cameras or anything like that, or yeah. Are we? It's been such a great session with so much information delivered so well. Maybe we really are done. And what we've done is we've recorded this, so this does get shared with other ERSA members. And I think it would be really good to get you back at the digital forum at some point. So we'll pick that up offline. But otherwise, thank you very much. We hope that ERSA members get in touch with you, take up get more involved with Bob. So yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Well, okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.